Hello guys, welcome back to our heavily modded City Skylines series of Coniferia. It's been a week and a half, I think. I've had some mod issues that basically broke the save, or at least I thought so. Whenever there's a DLC and a free patch implemented, then people that have the huge amount of mods enabled that I do will often struggle for at least a few days. I know the modders work tirelessly to fix mods and update to accommodate for the new patch, but I guess it's inevitable, unfortunately, that there will always be a bit of a struggle. And that's been the case for me, and given that I've also had a busy week, then, the combination of that has just made it, it's taken a while to fix my game. But the good thing is that it's running now. In the end, the only thing that worked was reverting to an earlier mod profile in load order tool. So the good thing is the game is running. The bad thing is I can't really pinpoint the exact mod or combination of mods that actually caused the issues. I don't want to invest too much time into that. I gotta maximize the spare time I have. So that's awesome, and we're ready to play again. First though, we are just gonna briefly follow up on the vote that we started in conjunction with the latest episode. You guys of the Port Douglas City Council were supposed to vote for the future of this historic community center building in the heart of downtown Port Douglas. And as you guys can see on the screen, you guys from City Council overwhelmingly approved the developer interest and the proposals, and so we're gonna remove this. We're gonna tear down this historic landmark, and then we're gonna allow these banking folks to build a shiny regional headquarter. So yeah, that's that. I will say though, thank you guys so much for all the feedback that you provided in the comments. You guys, even many of those of you that approved the sale of this lot, you also had suggestions for, making the whole thing just a little more pretty than what it is up front, which is basically just big money moving in and a community center being torn down. The banking firm and developers didn't have to agree to anything, but a few of you put so much pressure on them and sort of threatened to make it a matter of public opinion and tried to turn public opinion against the banking firm that eventually they actually agreed to a compromise, which is that they're not gonna integrate the current building into their new skyscraper. They are going to tear down everything on this lot. However, they have agreed to provide a 5-year prepaid lease for the community center to move into a different building in downtown Port Douglas. So I think that's a pretty cool compromise. Well done by you guys. So yeah, thank you guys for all the feedback and the participation in this vote. I will say though, one of you insinuated or even accused me of being in the pockets of some of these money people, which is absolutely ridiculous. And just give me a... Sorry, I have to go. I've got some expensive jewelry to pick up for my wife, my mistress, I mean. So I'll be right back. Just give me a second. Like I said, baseless accusations. There is no corruption in Coniferia, that's for sure. And with that introduction in the books, we can pick up where we left off at the most recent episode. We built this monster of an interchange and added some more advanced railway infrastructure in the form of these two overpasses here. And this is, of course, the first step in our plans of making a heavily suburban area here in this open space here. We are, of course, in the northwestern outskirts of Pine Harbor, this sprawling city. With this interchange being done, we've got a few more steps to take before we can place down the first suburban areas. So I think the first thing I'm gonna do is to actually lower this highway. I don't really want it to be elevated throughout this whole rural region. That does seem like a bit of an expensive option, and I would like a bit, I'd like some overpasses and underpasses along the way. So I'm gonna lower that to ground level, and then we'll of course need to connect it up here. Highway construction, usually not the most exciting thing to do actual voiceover over. Some, I think I'm gonna slap on some hopefully enjoyable music, and I'll just get on with this highway stuff. right any more highway construction right now, and I think I'm gonna start seeing double. So we're gonna pause that for a moment. Right now I'm just making sure that traffic flows smoothly through, and that doesn't seem to be quite the case here maybe. So can I, how is it if I, what's the command, Control C maybe? Isn't there some kind of click here and I say Control S? And here, Control S. Okay, cool. So I'm just gonna set that up. But basically, I'm just checking whenever you stretch nodes like this, there's the possibility of cars slowing down excessively when they enter the node, due to I don't know the technical reason. It just seems to happen, and then you will have to just adjust the node a bit. But it seems that all vehicles flow through at full speed, so that is really nice. And I'm just gonna go through and adjust this like so. Alright, so I sort of winged this design, and that's really the fun part of creating highways for me. It's to kind of create a mess where you add some extra lanes and some on and off ramps just as you go along without having like a fully fledged plan. And I imagine that at times that's quite realistic, because in this case we're joining up a relatively new highway to an established one, so we just kind of have to work with the terrain and the current layout. I like the look of it. It looks a little barren, of course, because we haven't actually used intersection marking tool to detail up any of these nodes. We're gonna do that, but not right now. As I said, no more highway stuff for now. As you guys saw, I lowered this section as well, and I think that looks quite alright. What I think I'm gonna do now is start working out some commercial establishments along this main boulevard that sort of stretches, that is gonna stretch through our residential area. I might upgrade this to one that also has on-street parking to just create an even more suburban feel. But yeah, I think let's just take a look at the contours. So we've got a bit of a hill here, which I think I'm just gonna smooth that out a bit to create a more smooth terrain for us. But it's relatively flat here, which of course makes it a little easier for us to work with, especially when we start building all the fancy looking parking lots for the commercial establishments in this suburban area. I think that's what I'm gonna start with. I'm gonna start making some commercial stuff here. Right, so I think it's time we take a little run through of what we've been building so far. This recording of me right now is actually a couple of weeks after I started this area. So I hope that's not too obvious that it's a bit disjointed. But we've got a pretty good suburban shopping base going on here, and I went for a bit of different, techniques for the parking, which is always fun to experiment with. So here we've got these dedicated parking lot roads that goes with these big Suburbs collection. So they can be a little finicky to work with, but they are, built for the purpose. And so the final look here is really nice, I feel. Made a bit of a storage area back here. And then these, I'm not quite sure about these because this is just parking built on pavement and not joined up with the asphalt. So I might add a few asphalt networks to just kind of make that a little more dark here and make it obvious that it's asphalt. I like the look, but I don't know just how realistic it is. Usually, the parking lots will have sort of the same texture or, be in the same vein as the asphalt used throughout the surrounding areas for paving roads. So I might change that up a bit. But I think this is a pretty good start to this suburban area. And I think that if we're to have some housing in this episode as well, then I should move on to building some of those housing areas. But I think let's just see if we can. I'm just gonna see if I can add a bit of asphalt here and make that look a bit nicer. So just give me a second. I'm gonna use some stream magic. I think that looks just a bit more crisp, just a bit better. So that's real nice. Now let's get into the house building. For these areas, I'd like to sort of continue the trend we've got going here, which is these are ranch style homes. At least that's what the assets are called. But I'd like to mix them up into a theme of their own so that I have some more variation. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna combine 3 different sets of buildings. So first we're gonna grab these ranch houses, and we're going to use the tags to add them to a style of their own based on tags. And we're gonna mix them in with these Memphis houses, and we've got some what are they called? Bolingbrook. Yeah, that's right. That's what they were called, Bolingbrook. So let's just start with those. Let's see if these, yeah, they are perfect. So I'm gonna say tag, and let's create one called 50s to 70s single family out in one. There you go. Now I'm able to add these. So I'll add this one. And I'm gonna go through all of these now and add them to this tag set, and that's gonna make it much easier for us to place large areas with these. And now we actually have a set of 20 or 21 houses in total. So if we search 50s, that's actually all we have to search. No, wait, we've actually... we have to say 2. Then we have all the houses that we've tagged up. And since I have the random key in this find it mod bound to R, then I can just hit R to select through the range, and this will really open up for some turbo plubbing. So that's gonna become very useful in just a second. First up, we're gonna lay out the road network, of course. Cool, so for now we've just gone for a super simple layout here, which is sort of gritty. We've got some cul-de-sacs cutting off as we approach the highway here, and we'll have a look at how our selection of houses is working. So I think we're gonna just place and align some of these end lots here at the cul-de-sacs, because they will need some manual adjustment. Jesus, sorry. But otherwise we should be able to just very quickly pick some houses here and cycle through, and yeah, it works wonderfully. And we'll adjust some of the houses, of course. Now, unfortunately, due to the slenderness of the road I've picked here, I am going to have to manually adjust most of these homes to really fit with the driveways, but it shouldn't take too long. All right, so I know this is a high school asset, but I guess it sort of works as a workplace as well, and that's probably more realistic given that, you know, it's, yeah, there isn't much, you know, in terms of being able to participate in sports or other stuff. So it's probably just an office actually. And I experimented with some of this style of parking, which caused a host of issues, but it also looks pretty cool, I'd say, even though there isn't much of it. And then, yeah, just went ahead and put in some more trees to just kind of hide some of the brown places. So I think for a suburb like this, the houses are, you know, kind of cookie cutter, but, you know, with all the trees, it actually creates, you know, for some beautiful tree-lined streets. And yeah, I just feel it looks pretty cool actually. And then I think an interesting part is if we draw this up as a district, it's gonna be interesting to see what the actual population figures are, because, you know, this is a really low density area where land usage obviously isn't super important. I added some duplexes or apartment buildings actually here, which are a little more modern and probably, you know, they probably represent a more sustainable type of, you know, urban planning than the suburban sprawl of the past. But let's have a look. Yeah, 418. That's not a lot of people for, you know, the size of this area. So that's pretty. Yeah, that's pretty pathetic. But I mean, this is supposed to kind of showcase what suburban sprawl can look like. Where, you know, buildings occupy, you know, about the same footprint as parking, and you can make it a lot worse than what I've done here for sure. This isn't even the worst case you can make. And we've got a fire here, which isn't great. I didn't know I had fires. All right, so we built a high school that definitely ended up looking more like some municipal workplace or federal office or something. Yeah, doesn't look much like a high school. There's no football pitch or really anything other than just the building. But whatever it is, I think it's a pretty good fit for this area, nestled in between this main street here in this suburban area and then the highway over here, of course. Added a bunch of trees to make these streets look kind of nice. I'm really loving this road asset I used, where we only have side parking on one side of the street. And well, I think it turned out all right. Didn't go too heavy on the detailing. Could have used fences and hedges to kind of separate the gardens a bit more. But I'm a big fan of just having these big, beautiful old trees kind of just consume the whole area. I really like that look, and it's a little easier than detailing with hedges and fences and whatnot. I've gone ahead and used the district tool to paint out our district, just called it Santon for now. And I guess a fun thing here is that the population is really low, right? Compared to the footprint of this area. I mean, look how big it is. And the population isn't even 500. And if we compare to, let's take downtown Pine Harbor, you got 2,000 residents here, and the area is, let's see, it is smaller. It's a bit smaller, but not by much. So I guess a better example could be downtown Port Douglas, which is about the same size and has 7,500 residents. So more than 14 times the population of Santon. And can I call it Santon when we got Danton there? That's sort of weird. Anyways, I guess my point is that land usage really is the key factor in identifying suburban sprawl, and this isn't even the worst area we could have built. We got about the same, you know, the buildings here have about the same footprint as the parking lots, and we could have went way overboard with the parking compared to this. This isn't even all that bad. I mean, Sanson even has some modern apartment complexes here. which are, much more in and hip in the current urban planning trends. So it isn't even all that bad. And I think it looks kind of cool, and it's a fun addition to our city. It's been a lot of fun experimenting with very different types of parking lots. I feel that's always a good skill set to have, that you can create some different types of parking, because it really does add to your city. But with that said, I'm starting to ramble now, and I need to wrap this episode up. It's going to be a bit of a long one, I think. Thank you so much for watching, if you stuck with me for this long, and if you want to subscribe and enable notifications if you haven't already, then you'll make sure not to miss any future content. Yeah. It's turned out to be a long episode, and I set out to create a suburban hillscape, but I don't think it's much of a hillscape. Anyways, more rambling. Thank you so much for watching. See you guys in the next one. Bye.
So